Hello and welcome to the Slingshot Channel. This episode is all about machetes. Actually, you will learn how to juggle with up to 8 machetes. And in this you just simply start with 2 and then you go... No, it's of course not about machetes. It's about a new game that has fortunately decided to sponsor me. It's called Era of Celestials. And actually it was met with a huge amount of anticipation. For a reason. Make sure to download the game from the link below. This way you can support my channel and you can make sure that I can finance future projects. That would be great. Thanks. Era of Celestials is a multiplayer game, online of course, and it's a role-playing one. It is free to play and you can play it on your Android and on your Apple phone. It is really the last bastion of humanity, Celestial City, and demons are attacking it. And you can play one of the last humans that defend the place, but you don't have to do this without weapons and without features. Because you can transform into invincible celestials, and then you can really go on a fighting spree. You can kill all those demons. But what I really love about the game is that you can also do crafting. So even smelting metal and forging your own weapons is something that you can do in the game. But of course you can also engage in battles and in guilds and there's a ton of items and of course a lot of experience things that you can do. I think one of the most beautiful elements of the game is the graphics though, because it's so cool. I mean, the entire look of it is just so epic and just everything that you see is great, including the swords. And that's what I'm looking at here. Because when you look at the swords that the warrior personalities in this game carry, it's actually quite amazing. I mean, look at these super-sized swords. Those are just not claymores, those are like claymores on steroids. They're actually so big that I really have doubts if they could be seriously used as an effective weapon. But then again, they're fighting against demons, and demons are big. At least they are in this game. There are different sword designs in the game, but this I think is the most epic one. As you see, it is really huge, very wide, and has this kind of cutting edges at the tip. So it's like a combination between a sword and an axe, a dual-sided axe. But it also seems to have sharp edges here, and maybe even here. And of course it's super huge. So I think we need to replicate it and see if it is an effective weapon. But how to replicate a sword like this in a way that even a strong man can lift it? Well, my idea is to use aluminum plates for the body and then use the machete blades for the edges. Therefore we will cut these beautiful machetes and just use the edges. So, because of the generous donation that my sponsor gave me, I was able to buy 8 of these really nice Tramonita machetes, very long. They're made in Brazil, and they are actually quite sharp, and I think they're made of really good material. They're hardened through, like a machete should be. They're actually well made. I mean, they're not expensive, but look, they got riveted scales, so I think it's really solid. It is actually a good performer, I believe. Let's test this. Yeah. Without a doubt, these are good machetes. And we will just cut them and use them to line the edges and squeeze them in between 2 aluminum plates. So these are the aluminum plates that I decided to use for the purpose. They're 1 meter long, so the weapon will be a little over 1 meter without the handle. And the handle, of course, will be made from plywood because it's sturdy and lightweight. And of course I will have to change the design of the sword a little bit to make it halfway functional, because in the game it looks kind of funny, like no sword you really want to wield. Okay, now I have cut the blades out from aluminum, the frames, and I have also adapted the first machete blade. And as you see, what I've done is I used the angle grinder to cut in slots so I can use the Dremel tool to drill 4.5 millimeter holes to this, because this is hardened steel, and without losing the temper I cannot really drill through this with a normal drill. But this way it works, and it will hold on very nicely into the final weapon. Alright, now the raw blade is finished. As you see, it's huge. It's already sharp at the front. And the rest, of course, remains to be sharpened. But as you see, it has machete blades all around. And the aluminum is nicely stabilizing. And of course, the profile is also fairly thin. Now comes the handle. Now it is basically finished. All it now needs is beautification. And it is a heavy sword, but it's actually still wieldable. And it even sticks in the ceiling. Yeah, that's the blade. What we now really need is a counterweight, a pommel so to say. Therefore I drilled out this boule ball, pétanque ball, which is now weighing about 514 grams, and we're going to fill it with lead. Okay, now it's filled with lead, and this brought its weight up about 1.1 kilogram. So that's like, I don't know, 2.3 pounds or something. So it's now really heavy, and if you see where the center of balance is, it's like almost touching the ball. So this will help tremendously with the balance of the whole weapon, which otherwise is more like a sledgehammer than a sword. Now it's actually heavier, it's like 1.5 kilos heavier, but you actually don't feel it because the balance is now so much better. I mean, it still isn't really a well-balanced sword, but the center of gravity is about here. See? And this means that it's actually where it's supposed to be, a little bit in front of the handle. So it's still a little bit top heavy, but if we would make it even more heavy here, then it would be kind of unwieldable at all. Now it's a really good balance between weight, so you can still handle it with one hand, and size. And this is it. I painted it black because I ran out of the red paint and even didn't have much of the black paint anymore. I still need to go and refreshen my reserves. But it is now ready, and it's actually surprisingly nimble. If you keep in mind that it weighs as much as a sledgehammer, about 5 kilos, it's not so hard to maneuver it. Total length is now 143 centimeters. It's 20 centimeters wide. Thickness is actually not that bad. It's actually only 8 millimeters thick at the thickest piece. And that's exactly how thick a typical katana would be. So this isn't really a very thick blade, but it's a very wide blade. And also it is a little bit following the same concept as a katana, because the katana has a hardened edge, that would be the machetes here, and it has a softer core so that it would bend but not break. And I think exactly that is achieved by the aluminum, which is soft and will bend and can be bent back in any case. But of course the super hard machete blade won't do this. It will spring back. Therefore I think it's a great combination, and it's actually not just a toy. But to find out, we have to hack at something. And we're going to start with a top-down slash on this piece of cardboard here. Like the Costa di Falcone. And then shoo. Let's take careful aim. This and shot. All right. That was more like a hammer blow instead of a slash. Yeah, if you look at here, it did slash in, but of course it was so heavy and the box was so soft that it actually crumpled. Alright, but it is not razor sharp, although you could see that it did cut in. So that is clearly a cut. Now let's test it against a water bottle. See what happens when we hit this and we do this sideways. All right, now that was better. Now the next test is actually water-filled oil bottles. Those are a lot thicker than the water bottle. I used the oil for my hardening, but I now have this in a bucket with a lid on top, and therefore these are game. Let's see if we can cut more than one. Okay, sideways again. Whoa, I think I chopped all three of them. Alright, as for the handling, I have to say this works better than I thought, because it's still possible to really fight with it when you're actually not that slow, although of course this is nothing that you would ever do for fencing. And even one-handed, you can still maneuver it if you have the power. But of course this is a classical two-hander, and for that it actually doesn't perform all that bad. So therefore I decided to test a few attack modes with this thing here. So you can certainly attack it like that. And of course you can easily slash. And of course this is like an axe head here. So it's sharpened, and of course this is also quite heavy. So this really works like a combination of a sword and an axe. But it is actually cutting no matter where you touch it. So this is all sharpened edges here. Therefore this is a sword and not just an axe. Alright. Let's see if I can do some harm if I attack this zombie. Although it doesn't stand very good, so I think that he would actually fall down eventually. Okay, we will slash downwards first, and we're gonna go this direction this time. Let's see if that works. Okay. I'm not sure what happened, but it wasn't that spectacular. But on a closer look, actually, it did work somehow. See, of course there is a deep cut in the shirt, and you can also see that the sword hacked in right into the shoulder, and the blade went in really deep until here, about here, it started to splinter. So up to here, you can see that the sword cut, and the rest was just the material breaking away. But that definitely happened because there is an edge. With a blunt hammer, that would not have been possible. Okay, the era of Celestial Sword. What do I think about it? Is it a good sword? Nah, it's not. It's way too heavy for fighting. It's actually stupid. I think it could have probably had some value, like as one of these door crashers, that when they opened a door in medieval times, someone would go in and hack the way into it. Of course, it's fairly suicidal of a job, but I hear that it was also well paid. In any case, of course, I'm also not a celestial with superpowers. So I think these people can probably wear it and wield it much easier than I can. On the other hand, it is a dangerous weapon. Don't laugh at it, because it really comes in with the momentum of a freight train crashing everything that is in its way. And also you can see how well the concept of a heavy counterweight works, because without it I would not be able to wield it as easy as this. And also I believe it really looks cool, don't you think? I believe that maybe I need to do one more paint job and sharpen it a little bit more, and then it will be a very cool wall hanger. In any case, you can find the download link in my text. Who knows, maybe you can become a celestial. I hope you enjoyed this, because that's it for today. Thanks and bye-bye.